The very first fully battery-powered Lexus, the UX 300e, rewards a thoughtful buyer prepared to think a little more laterally. In the segment for fully electric compact to mid-sized SUVs, there are cheaper options than this one, some of which offer greater driving range. But this Lexus has other attributes which might well draw you to it, including admirably few compromises in terms of interior packaging, plus a very high-quality feel. This is one of those EVs sensibly engineered with a linear-feeling throttle, engineered in this case by two expert Lexus Takumi drivers, so the car doesn't lunge forward when you brush the throttle pedal, though it's hardly slow off the mark, 62 miles an hour from rest, taking only 7.5 seconds. There's no all-wheel drive option like there is on a UX 250h, so here a single 201 brake horsepower e-motor propels the front wheels, powered by a 54.35 kWh battery pack. That lithium-ion package is similar in size to the starting point battery you'd get fitted to most, though not all, direct EV crossover rivals at this price point, but it won't take you as far. The claimed WLTP rated figure is 196 miles. Think more like 160 to 170 miles in the real world. Chief engineer Takashi Watanabe and his team apparently engineered this car with driving fun in mind, building on inherently strong chassis rigidity and redeveloping the steering and the suspension. Even so, this Lexus still struggles to transmit all its torque to tarmac quite as quickly as sometimes you might like. The steering feel remains a bit vague, and ride quality over poorer surfaces in models fitted with the larger 18-inch wheel rims isn't quite as smooth as we'd ideally like. What is impressive is refinement. The engineers have made sure that the thickness and weight of the battery pack beneath the cabin floor will act as a sound insulating barrier, and they've installed undercovers and wing liners to reduce the noise generated by small stones, dirt, water and the road surface. What about charging? Well, using a conventional 7 kilowatt wall box and a typical 32 amp AC 200 volt supply, the battery replenishment time is 8 hours and 15 minutes. At a DC public rapid charging point of 50 kilowatts or more, it's possible to recharge from 0 to 80% in 50 minutes. Out and about, you'll be able to use over 160,000 public chargers in the Lexus charging network. There are about 30,000 of those in the UK, with directions to each one accessible via provided Lexus Link app. What else? Well, as with rival models, all UX 300e variants fall into base VED Band A and attract just 1% of benefit-in-kind company car taxation in the 2021 to 2022 model year. Insurance is Group 39A. As usual with Lexus, residual value predictions are stellar. After 3 years and 36,000 miles, this car is expected to still be worth 53% of its original value. Lexus is one of those brands who believe that buyers of full EV models want their cars to look as normal as possible. So the visual changes that differentiate this UX 300e model from its ordinary UX 250h self-charging hybrid showroom stablemate are minimal. The front features a sleeker bumper with smaller air intakes and a subtly revised version of this model's signature spindle-shaped radiator grille featuring aerodynamic shutters which automatically open and close depending on the level of battery charge. From the side, these lower electric badges are one of the few giveaways to this model's BEV status. Well, that and the fact that it has two filler caps. One for a Type 2 charger on the driver's side and one for a fast-charged CHAdeMO plug on the near side. Apart from the bespoke badge, there are no differences over the usual hybrid model here at the rear, dominated by an LED tail light blade extending the full width of the tailgate. The lamp section in this case made up of an array of 120 LEDs and tapering in the middle to be just 3mm deep at its narrowest point. Let's take a look inside. Where specific UX 300e features are even harder to spot. limited to a bespoke drive-by-wire auto gear selector, branding on the floor mats and badging in the instrument cluster, where you'll also find some EV-specific displays if you look hard enough. Even the central instrument gauge looks much the same as that of the ordinary hybrid model, with its charge, eco and power options. Plus, in the information display alongside, there are selectable EV options, things like range and your current and average fuel consumption in miles per kilowatt hour. From here you can also select a charging schedule, vary current and the charging limit, and even cool the battery. There's nothing much of note on the 7-inch centre stack screen, just the usual audio, phone, apps and climate functions, though it can at least now connect through to Apple CarPlay and Android Auto smartphone mirroring, which you'll probably need it to do because navigation isn't standard unless you opt for the bigger 10.3-inch Lexus navigation display, which only comes as part of an expensive top Takumi pack. Let's take a look out back. Now, the door aperture here really is rather small. Taller folk will risk banging their heads as they enter. Which might have something to do with this reprofiled rear bench. It had to be redesigned to fit the battery underneath. This change hasn't compromised rear seat space by very much, but that was pretty tight to start with, exacerbated by the fact that it's difficult to slide your feet beneath the front seats. Individual overhead reading lights are missing, but you get coat hooks in the grab handles and heat for these seats if you've avoided base spec. Let's finish with some good news. The boot is actually bigger than is the case with the UX 250h hybrid version of this car. Lift the tailgate. It's not powered unless you pay for the top Takumi pack. And a 367-litre boot is revealed, 47 litres bigger than normal, loading from deck to the rather flimsy tonneau cover. There's no ski hatch though, nor is there a 40-20-40 split seat back. The conventional 60-40 split flattens to reveal 1,278 litres of capacity, which isn't enormous, but will probably be sufficient for the needs of most likely owners. Why a full electric Lexus took so long to arrive is difficult to explain. Drive refinement, a feature of course of all EVs, has been particularly well perfected here. And there's a beautifully crafted interior, impeccable build quality, and a collection of exceptionally helpful dealers to ensure ongoing ownership satisfaction. Plus, the convenience of being able to use the Lexus charging network can't be understated. All of this is added to the usual EV advantages: super low benefit-in-kind taxation rates, low running costs, and the kind of future-proofed feel at the wheel that makes you wonder why it's still necessary to burn fossil fuel in a car like this. As for the here and now, where does that leave us with this UX 300e? For Lexus, is it too little, too late, or the start of an impressive electric vehicle dynasty for the brand? As with the EV industry as a whole, only time will tell.